Welcome back, everybody, to another memorable episode of Tech Dudes Weekly. What we want to talk about today is, and we're not going to beat AI to death on this, but this is another conversation around AI and how it's going to potentially influence the PC market and other markets as well. But really, what is the impact to the end user based on some of these new requirements? And I think, Brian, you found an article on this one from xdadevelopers.com talking about the AI PC trend will push Windows system requirements forward. I don't like the name forward. I think it's going to drive prices up. What's your take on this one?
So I think this is one of those, evolutionary, parts. And I think there's, a number of things that drive, I think, the PC industry from price standpoint, performance standpoint, what you get, bang for the buck type thing. GPUs for gaming have always done that. And I think, and there are a number of other smaller industries that have kind of pushed the PC to its limits and made the baseline a little bit higher. And I think so. I mean, traditionally, I would say in the last 3 years or so, if you went and bought a sub $1,000, notebook or something like that, or even desktop for that matter, you were probably getting 8 gigs of RAM. You're getting a moderate spec CPU and everything, and that was good enough. And I mean, that was decent. If you needed to play games on it, you're probably getting some kind of entry level GPU, and I mean, like a 1,000 series NVIDIA or something like that, and you could play moderate games. Now with AI coming into it, it's changed the landscape a little bit. One, we're starting to see that NPUs are the next, iteration coming in, meaning that that's a neural processing unit, and that's required for AI to kind of start running a lot of its, language models and stuff like that, and to supply back information that an AI would based on, query and answer type of scenarios. As well as something that's more intrinsic within software itself, like going through a series of photos or whatnot and saying, "Show me all photos that have a dog." Nothing, so vision requirements, stuff like that.
Yeah, and
So
hopefully
NPUs are
pushing
definitely going to be
more
it.
edge compute versus sending everything back up to the
Correct.
net too. So
Correct. So you got to have a little bit more oomph, for lack of a better term.
yeah,
So NPUs, absolutely, those are built into the new Generation 14 Intel processors. We're also going to start seeing that in a lot of the ARM processors that Microsoft's going to be pushing forward with Qualcomm. And the other OEM manufacturers will follow suit there. So hopefully we'll see a new revision of ARM for Windows. Different story, different video. Nothing, but we're also seeing, we think the base requirements, my gut, is that 16 gigs of RAM will now be the base requirement. We're going to start to see 8 gigs start to slide off into the sunset, unless you have a very, I just need a basic PC to run Microsoft Word and surf the web. Nothing. But if you want to take advantage of Copilot and some of the stuff that Microsoft's pushing within Windows 11 and probably Windows 12, and that becomes a thing, we're going to start to see more and more Windows 16 gigs of RAM, better GPUs. NPUs will be a requirement. And to be honest, for those that are more, I wouldn't say power users, or maybe a little bit higher end, trying to push the edge of what AI can do for them, I think
you
24 and
mean other than
32.
doing kitty cat pictures?
Yeah, exactly. I think 24 and 32 gigs of RAM is going to be more of the next echelon, next tier.
Yeah,
Dave, what do you think?
I agree. And here's the thing too is, there's a note on the article talking about brand new Macs with 8 gig of memory, and some Windows laptops are still sold in 2024. So the question's going to be, um, is that going to make those, I don't say obsolete, but I've also saw articles out there talking about some of the machines may be upgraded with an add-on NPU. I don't know if that's going to really be a thing, and then what's the additional requirements across the board. I'm starting to wonder, will the days of just buying a cheap little laptop for everyday use, like you were talking about, maybe editing a Word document or surfing the internet, is that going to disappear, or has the minimum requirements for, say, Windows and other machines just been too low from day one, and we've all just kind of gotten along with it?
Yeah, that's one of my biggest fears, though, is that what you don't want to see is walking into a Best Buy and you're gonna shell out at least $1,000 to have anything that's usable. I hope that's not the case. I still hope that a mid-tier laptop will start around 650, going up to like 900, and then we see the next echelon from the 1,000 to 1,500 mark, and then obviously the gamers and whatnot will spend more because they want more oomph in a laptop. But it's unclear. Knowing, we know the NPU, we know that 16 gigs of RAM most likely is going to be the base spec for something like this. Knowing, but Microsoft has kind of drawn a line. It hasn't really said what is an AI PC. Again, other than the NPU being a thing, probably more memory. Nothing. They also haven't come back and said, other than the Copilot button on the keyboard, what is an AI PC? I think we'll see that defined a little bit more. We did see a couple of manufacturers. Dell came out really quick to the gate with their AI
Yeah.
PC with the XPS. And the funny thing is that entry to 8 gigs of RAM. So I think Microsoft is playing it very close to the chest, saying, we're not going to require 16. You probably should. But they also don't want to, take, a Dell or an HP or, Lenovo and say you can't make an 8 gigs of RAM entry model. So I think it's going to be more of a suggested requirement than a hard line.
Yeah, I'm hoping it turns into a suggested, because your what I call your eco brand models, your $500 machine you can buy in Walmart or something like that, just for an entry level student, that could turn those way of the dodo at that point. I want to see this be something real, but not just another marketing event. To your point, with a Copilot button going, "Ooh, I got AI. Now let's do kitty cats and let's do doggy." I don't know. I'm torn with this one. Maybe I've just been in the industry too long. I don't know, but don't drive up PC prices and put them out of the reach of people. So that's kind of my take on it. We'll see where it goes. I think this is going to be fluid for quite some time.
Yeah, I'll be excited. I mean, yeah, I'm a big fan of where Microsoft's headed with Copilot. I think they're doing a lot of great things. It's obviously driving their revenue. Nothing if you look at some of their reports from stock, nothing. But this needs to be an $800 to a $1,200 machine, knowing that can truly take advantage of what Copilot and some of the other AI offerings can do. Beyond that, nothing. Just don't put it out of reach of the average consumer.
Yep,
So
I
I guess
agree.
more to come. I think, but this is a very interesting article. We'll put a link to it in the description
Description.
below.
Yep.
And please, if you have any concerns, questions, you want to bring up your own thoughts on it, throw something in the comments. We always like to hear back.
Yep. Appreciate it, everybody.
Thanks, all.